So can I be honest with you guys? Because I'm happy to keep covering these nonsense articles when these crazy anti-racist trainings show up in the most predictable of locations, but sometimes I don't always know if it's something that's valuable for you. I don't know if it's something you want to hear about. And the reason that I keep doing videos on white fragility, on these bogus anti-racist trainings, is because I feel that it is very, very, very important to document these things from a place of rationality, not from a place of white guilt hysteria, but from a place of skepticism to look in and say, are these really effective? Are these really the things that we should be teaching to young people? And I think it's very important every time we see nonsense like this pop up, to document it, to say no, to say this is wrong, and to push back. But to be honest, I don't always know if it's something you guys want to hear about over and over and over again. So right off the bat, before we even dig into today's article, I just want to ask you to leave a comment. Let me know, are these types of videos talking about these trainings useful to you? Or does it reach a point of like saturation where you're just like, Carlin, too much. Stop saying the same thing about anti-whiteness training already. We get it, it's bad. So that's my ask for today. Now, today we're going to talk about white fragility training, or internalized racial superiority, or anti-racist, or whatever you want to call it, has popped up in one of the most predictable places it could possibly pop up. Columbia University, of course. Columbia is segregating its white students. We need to start calling it what it is. It's segregating its students and delivering white students very specific training based only on the color of their skin. So we're going to read about what Columbia is doing in terms of their anti-racist training. But before we get into that, just our quick order of housekeeping business. Listen, folks, I'm trying to grow the channel. I really want to get to 100,000 subscribers before Election Day. I think this is a very doable thing. So if you like the content I'm putting out, I'm going to ask you to subscribe, give it a thumbs up, turn on those notifications. If you think you're subscribed, just double check for me, because YouTube might have made that decision for you. All right, let's dig into this article from Campus Reform. Let's see. For Columbia University Health, for weeks, Columbia University Health has been hosting Zoom workshops as part of a series titled From Ally to Accomplice at Columbia, working group for examining and deconstructing whiteness to mitigate racial trauma. The weekly online interactive curriculum, which began July 7th and concludes Monday, is designed for white identified students to engage in exploration of their white identities and build community and accountability around deconstructing whiteness and white privilege to facilitate the development of an anti-racist lens. Columbia University is training little activists. This is literally what this is. This is training students to be activists, and they aren't even hiding it. They're coming right out and saying it. So let's deconstruct this entire sentence. First off, it's for white identified students. Now, we saw this pop up in the city of Seattle training, where if you identified as white, you had to go do their voluntary training on your day off, a day you'd already scheduled a vacation for, to learn about your internalized racial superiority. So Columbia's doing this again. Now, this is a tip for anyone who might get caught up in needing to do this type of training for your work environment or something like that. Make sure you look for if they're asking for white identified people, because guess what? Don't identify as white for the purpose of the training. I'm not even kidding. It's like the easiest out in the world. For the purpose of the next week, I do not identify as white. I identify as something else entirely. And you could even probably make the case based on, unless you're probably in the state of California, you could probably make the case that, frankly, it's none of your employer's business what you identify as, and it's not their business to ask. I bet you could actually make a legal case for that. So that's what number one in this. It's only for students who identify as white. Engaging in an exploration of their white identities. I don't even know what that means. What does it mean to have a white identity? Because if we look in White Fragility, Robin DiAngelo says that Italians have become white and Irish people have become white. So what does it even mean to have a white identity anymore? I don't know. build community and accountability. So anytime you hear the word accountability comes up, what they're doing is creating standards for acceptable behavior, creating standards for what is acceptable amongst students. That's what accountability means. I mean, essentially, I do this in workplaces all the time, especially when teams are having communication challenges with each other. We might create accountability rules around, okay, you are expected to answer your emails within 24 hours or whatever it might be. And then once you have those standards, you can hold people accountable to those standards. Now, in a work environment, this makes sense because there are certain performance-based metrics that we're looking at, and we want to make sure we're holding people accountable to those metrics in order to achieve our bottom line results so that, frankly, the business can be successful and everyone can get their paycheck. That's important. When we're talking about more social ecosystems, like college is like a social ecosystem, right? And we're talking about creating accountability standards, that's like a cult. That's what it is. That is a cult. They're saying in order to be accepted at Columbia University Health, you have to act like this. You have to say this. You have to be an ally. You have to be a little activist, and we're going to do the training to get you there. That's exactly what they're saying. So they're developing accountability standards. Now they're deconstructing whiteness. So what that means is that all the white students that do this training are going to have to confess their sins of being white. They're going to have to identify times in which they have been racist throughout their lives. They're going to have to analyze their own fragility. It's essentially a giant mindfuck. That's what it is. Let's just be blunt. Giant mindfuck. And white privilege, never mind that, a lot of these students probably didn't actually come from very privileged socioeconomic backgrounds, but that doesn't matter. That does not matter at all because they are white. That's all that matters. To develop an anti-racist lens. Oh, so you're indoctrinating them into an ideology, into a cult. That's what you're doing. That's what Columbia University is doing. Congratulations, parents. Your tuition dollars are being well spent. This was a weekly online course. This was not an inexpensive training to do out to all students. Let's keep going. The virtual group aims to begin to equip students with the time, space, and skills for self-reflection and processing of privilege that is necessary to meaningfully dismantle systems of racial oppression from a position of privilege. I have yet to really ascertain what exactly are they trying to dismantle. And I'm not saying, you would say, well, Carlin, they're trying to dismantle systemic racism. Okay. What does that mean? And how are you dismantling it? And what is the process by which you're dismantling it? And what is the plan for dismantling it? And what are you replacing it with? What is the plan? Give me a project plan, a 5-year plan, 10-year plan, 20-year plan, 50-year plan, 100-year plan, whatever. I don't really care. Give me a flipping plan that says we are at point A right now. We want to be at point Z. These are the steps that we think we need to take to get there. That is what dismantling something looks like. You know what this is? I'm going to turn this around on the right for a second because I pick on the right all the time too. And one of the things I hear from the right all the time is Carlin, about healthcare. I try to explain to them that, people on the left have very real concerns about healthcare affordability, accessibility, all that stuff. And the right goes, Carlin, we just don't want government involved in healthcare. That is our plan. Pull the government out of healthcare. Well, I say to them, well, guess what? That still requires a plan. You can't just take government, whoop, throw it over there. It still requires a plan to pull the government out of healthcare. So what is the plan? You are here now. You want to be here. What are the steps that you're going to take to get there? It is exactly the same thing with dismantling systems of racial oppression. What systems are you wanting to dismantle? Why haven't you dismantled those systems before, administrators? Because I know damn well a lot of you have been in Columbia University Health for a very long time. And what do you hope to replace it with? And what is the plan for getting there? And higher education, I'm sorry, higher education has no excuse for this. Go on any college website right now, and you will be able to find probably at least a 20-page document, if not more. You're going to be able to find a very comprehensive plan for the strategic vision of the university. Most universities call them a strategic plan. Some give them fancy names like our 2024 plan or our 2050 plan or whatever. But every university out there, more or less, has a very comprehensive plan of where they are today and where they want to be in 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. and steps that they're going to take to get there. So if they are capable of developing those plans, then why can't you do it for this? Let's keep going. In an email that was reportedly sent to Columbia University law students, oh, so it's not just health, it's also, it seems like entire Columbia University, excellent. The department said that the workshop will not be a support group for white students, nor will it be comfortable or easy. I thought college was supposed to be a safe space. How did we go from college was supposed to be a safe space where everyone got to play with puppies and, Legos or whatever the hell, to this is not going to be comfortable? How did that happen in a span of 5 years with the same people expressing those desires? I just don't get it. So let's take a look at what that email actually says. Okay, so I have it pulled up on my screen. Okay, I guess I can't make it any bigger than that. It says, "Hi 2Ls and 3Ls, I guess second and third year law students. We are sharing this new workshop that Alice Health Promotion is hosting this summer from Ally to Accomplish the Columbia University Working Group for Examining and Deconstructing Whiteness to Mitigate Racial Trauma. The workshop meets Tuesdays, July 7th through August 4th. I actually had the link to register for this workshop, but obviously they're over now. That would have been great. If anyone has access to the recordings of this workshop that you can get me in a very legal and just and fair way in which we're not doing anything underhanded at all, let me know. I would actually love to see it. This is an interactive virtual space for white identified students to engage in exploration of their white identities, and we've already read that. This 5-week interactive curriculum, the group aims to begin to equip students with time, space, and skills for self-reflection, processing, and privilege that is necessary to meaningfully dismantle the systems of systemic racism, blah, 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 through increasing self-awareness and centering justice as well. When was justice ever not centered? I mean, why is this new? Why? I don't understand. As well as the recognition of history and its impact on the present, students will build skills around empathy. They ain't building anything around empathy with this training. Are you kidding me? We'll build skills around empathy, responsibility, in action, and interrogation of knowledge we use and value while centering compassion, healing, vulnerable, and open dialogue. This is not even a grammatically correct description that's being taught at Columbia University. This space will not be a support group for white students, nor will it be comfortable or easy. What it will be is meaningful, challenging step for those who feel called in and ready to start taking the appropriate place in creating a more just Columbia University. All right, Columbia. All right, get a copy editor. There are numerous ways to address the problem of structural racism. Oh, good. There's a plan. Let's hear the plan. This program is intended to engage students from a public health perspective. Columbia Health Associate Director of Communications, I don't even know how to pronounce that name, told Campus Reform. The intent is to provide an alternative angle by which to tackle the issue. The department stated that Zoom sessions were filled up following overwhelming interest. Okay. I worked in higher education for 10 years. I worked at several different universities, including Dartmouth, which is an Ivy, just like Columbia. I can guarantee you that incoming students did not have overwhelming interest in this. What do they mean by filled up? Because it's Zoom, right? Zoom's gonna hold a lot of people. What did you mean by filled up? You can also do recordings, by the way, so it doesn't actually need to be a live thing. What do they mean? Overwhelming interest. How many? Because I don't believe it at all. Especially if we're talking about incoming students, I worked with incoming students all the dang time. They weren't interested in this stuff. They weren't interested in almost anything. You couldn't get incoming students to do anything. They were just excited to be there and wanted to get their classes started and wanted to go to parties. That was it. They didn't want to do crap like this. So I don't believe that for one red second. I could be wrong, but I don't buy it. If you get an email like this one, just sent out to a bunch of Columbia law students, you should politely ask to see the evidence of the program efficacy your institution used when it decided to spend money on that particular program. Jesse Singal, a former contributor to New York Magazine, said about the workshops. I think that is a really fantastic point, Jesse, because I have yet to see, I've actually been looking for this evidence. I have yet to see any evidence at all that these programs are actually effective. Zero evidence. If you have evidence, Honest to God, this is an honest ask. If you have evidence, send it to me. Reach out to me on drcarlin.com. There's a contact button. Just send me an email. We can chat back and forth. But I want to see evidence that I want to see evidence of anything related to these programs. I've yet to see anything. He continues, I'd also be curious whether the university might be possibly opening itself up to legal trouble by officially promoting a program that says one group of students' racial categories needs to be deconstructed. Huh. How about that? I honestly don't know, but that seems potentially problematic. I think it seems problematic too, Jesse. These programs are crazy. This is literally Columbia University coming out and saying, we are going to use your tuition dollars. What is Columbia right now? Like probably $40,000, $50,000 a year? Your tuition dollars to indoctrinate you into a cult, racist ideology that is going to do more to harm people of color than almost anything could. And that has zero evidence of actually being effective. And that doesn't really seem to matter to anyone because the world's gone insane. All right, guys, that's all I've got for this one. I'll see you soon.